at a program that was taking place in Kanpur, where the governor of UP state was going to be present, but he didn't speak Hindi, he only spoke English. And so Baba wanted me to be there and share something. And I had never given public talks at all. I hadn't even spoken in front of a gathering at school. I used to be very, very shy. And then I took courage from Baba's Murlis, in which Baba in the Sakar Murli says, write. And if you write, then that's going to get clarity in your own mind, and that's going to get clarity in the way you present things. So my first attempt was a failure, because the brother who was in charge of the Agra Center and who was going to accompany me to Kanpur said, well, this doesn't have a beginning, middle, or end. Okay, so next I try again, and I write and write. And then he says, but every BK talk should have something about soul and God and time. And so then my third attempt, and he said, well, that was passable. And I didn't know a thing about Lokik education, of course. It wasn't my subject. I was studying sciences. Anyway, so then that was possible. But then the brother said, how many minutes do you think this is going to take? I said, 20 minutes. He said, no, because Baba doesn't like you holding a piece of paper and reading from that. You have to memorize it. And so this is going to be just 10 minutes. So you have to double the amount. So that was my initiation into writing, but also in terms of presenting. But it was very quick training, just 3 different comments. But it set me on the right track. The lecture was fine, by the way, that worked out okay. But after that, I knew that whenever I was invited to give lectures, I had to sit and write. And the writing really, really clarified all the ideas. And so churning just in sort of abstract terms, just thinking about it, maybe it can work for some, but writing makes it that much easier, because then it's something concrete. It makes you concentrate, it makes you focus, and you can actually have a look at it and say, well, maybe it shouldn't quite be like this, it should be something else, or maybe it needs a bit of adjustment, editing, whatever. So the first, at that point, I was then in India just for a few months longer. But every time there was a lecture, I would write. And so that was great. Then I came to London and not much service happening, no center. But I still kept that discipline of giving myself a topic and writing. And the work that I did for myself, the topics and the writing, was so good that it was very good to keep my mind on the right track. Even though there wasn't external service, I was practicing things for myself, clarifying things. And then when I did go back to India, again, there's a whole avalanche of service. But I had topics that I'd thought about, written about, and developed in my own mind. And so I had a stock of material that I could use. So just to say that when you're churning, use the skill of writing, the practice of writing, that will help you enormously. But secondly, whatever you've written is definitely going to be useful for service, whether in the form of an article. Now there's lots of different avenues to publish things, but also it'll be material for you to keep in your mind and to use for lectures, for giving gyan. Because if you keep repeating the same things, you get bored with it. Never mind people who hear you, but you get bored with it. So that was for public. And then it was hearing Dadi's classes and falling in love with Baba's Murli through Dadi's classes that maybe made me appreciate Baba's Murli, but also from that, I learned about giving classes to Brahmins. So my first classes in many different places, again, at that time in India, was just to say, well, this is what Daddy's sharing at the moment. And again, in those days, there wasn't such fast communication. So she's giving a class in Pune, and I'm in Hyderabad, and they've not heard Daddy's classes. And so there was a lot of rich material to share with Brahmins at that time through just seeing how Daddy churned, how she picked up a few points from the Murli, and how she took it up. So Baba's instruction, right? And then secondly, Daddy's classes, and that helped me develop my ability to give gyan to Brahmins. Giving gyan to Brahmins is more difficult than giving gyan to public. So, but because that really has to be very much authentic, because Brahmins know you. And if you're saying something that's not what you're doing, they're going to pick up on it very fast. But public, well, they don't know you, and you can talk about things and it can be quite abstract, but if they're interested, they'll understand. So those are the two experiences that have been very helpful in preparing me. So now I don't need to sit and write whole lectures, but sometimes if it's a very new, very different topic, like sometimes at the UN, like I was asked to give the spiritual context of the SDGs, the Millennium Development Goals. So, and then of course the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'd not given any thought to that. So then I did make a few notes, but otherwise, you know, Baba's Gyan and keeping your mind clear and being with Baba, then the churning happens and the flow goes on and it's fine. But the first couple of years, the writing was very, very helpful for me. And the vision of the future, that each and every one of you is going to be such a powerful instrument that whatever is flowing through your lips is what is needed at that moment for the audience that you're with, whether it's Brahmins, whether it's Lokics, and you'll develop the skill. And the writing is definitely a very good method. And of course, now also there's very, very different ways to present Gyan in terms of avenues to explore through online journals, through Baba's materials. There's an excellent publication called The Daily Guardian that publishes a lot of articles by Brahmins. And if you want to have things printed there, then the person to write to is Jane in Leeds. I'm sure if you write to the Leeds Centre, they'll pass it on to her. But so my vision for the future, each one of you as Baba's instruments, both for writing articles, but also for presenting Baba's Gyan in different places. So anything that you'd like to ask?
Wonderful, Jayanti. Thank you so much. If anyone from the group has a question, you can put it in the chat. Maybe this retreat has been a lot about being inspired. All the sessions have been very much about being inspired. How do you manage to be inspired all the time and to find something new? And do you have any special inspirations? Is there anything special at this point in time that you are inspired by?
Baba's Murlis always give fresh inspiration. I think we're the only organization in the world that has access to such deep, profound wisdom. Of course, it's the truth, and that it is the only organization with that. But the amazing things that Baba says every single day are a source of inspiration for me. So this morning, hearing Baba speak about, Brahma Baba speak about his experience of sitting next to Shiv Baba and how that company colors him and how he also begins to give drishti together with Baba. So it's Bap Dada giving drishti. I found that a fascinating paragraph, but the whole Murli, of course, was dharana. So this is the thing that whether it's the blessing that really kicks you off churning, or whether it's a slogan or something from the body of the Murli, that always gives me inspiration. And the feeling that I have for the moment at this time is, how do we offer hope to people out there? Because what they're seeing is a very dark picture. The pandemic, economic collapse, natural disasters just multiplying, wildfires now, every day you seem to hear new places. First it was Australia, then it was Canada, then it was the USA West Coast, then it was Siberia, and now I'm hearing Italy and Spain and Turkey. All of them have wildfires going on. So natural disasters are really moving very quickly. And so giving hope to people so that they don't get disheartened and lose faith in God and so on. So whoever it is we're with, and if it's people who do believe in God, to give them hope, and even those who don't believe in God, to give them hope. And again, for the Brahmin family, I see that because there's been so many uncertainties and changes in the last 18 months, Dadi Janki going, Dadi Gulzar going, Ishu Dadi going, and now just one Dadi left. And I think, again, our faith and our hope gives inspiration to each other. So I think keep your hope constantly alive and keep moving forward.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think if there are no questions at this point, I think everyone is quite satisfied and full, but it was really valuable to have you with us for those last minutes. And I think if we do another retreat like this in the future, we would like to actually have a whole session with you, maybe with Q&A and to go deeper into the subject. So that will be for next time. Until then, we will practice. And it's great, the opportunity you mentioned about the Leeds Center, the sister, if anyone wants to write some material. So that's, we'll have a look at that. So I think maybe, we will have blessings, but you can leave if you like, Jayanti Ben. Maybe we can just take Kristi from you and end with a minute of remembrance. And then after you have left, we will finish with a blessing ceremony.
Okay, please. Thank you. Om Shanti.